going into the 2006 Superman Returns, I had never seen this movie. The only two things I knew about this movie going into it was that, one, it was a continuation of Superman 2. You know, the 1980 Superman 2? Yeah, they continued from there. They basically pretended, hey, Superman 3 and 4 never existed. We're gonna, you know, we've got brand new actors. We've got fucking... Let me look up Superman Returns real quick. Returns. We've got, as the cast, we've got Brandon Roth as Superman, taking over from Christopher Reeve. We've got Kate Bosworth taking over for Lois Lane. We've got Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. I'll be honest, watching this movie, I didn't immediately recognize it was Kevin Spacey. And when I found out, I was like, holy shit. The worst part, I don't have time to go into all the Kevin Spacey allegations. He's not a good person, and fuck him. But I think he killed it as Lex Luthor. For following up Gene Hackman, I actually think he did a really decent job. Like, I can get why he was a very popular actor, and then he used that popularity to, you know, sexually assault people. But, so that one, yeah. You've got James Marsden as Richard White. I had, you know, when I rewatched Hulk a few months ago, I was really surprised to find out that the dad from Modern Family was in that movie. That was John Marsden in this one. Fucking Cyclops from the X-Men movies. The Donut Lord from Sonic the Hedgehog is the boyfriend of Lois Lane. What the fuck? There's a bunch of other, you know, actors in this movie. Cal Penn is in this movie. He plays one of Lex Luthor's, like, bodyguards. What the fuck? So, the basic premise of Superman Returns is that after the events of Superman 2, some scientists located Krypton. They were able to look through their telescopes, see Krypton, and the planet looked like it was still there. So Superman just decided to abandon his life on Earth and go out to check. That, like, hey, maybe Krypton survived. Of course, not taking into account, like, light years and space travel and anything like that. You know, he was curious. So he goes out into space. He spends, you know, I think they say it's like 5 years. So in theory, that would put this movie in like 85? Except for the fact that there's a kid who has a flip phone. So clearly we're not in the 80s anymore. Timeline's a fucking mess. Let's not worry about it. Kent has been on sabbatical. Superman goes to Krypton, finds that yes, it is in fact destroyed. He comes back to Earth, he says hi to his mother again, goes back, gets his job back at the Daily Planet. And when he goes to the Daily Planet, he finds out, hey, Lois Lane met a guy, Richard White, who I'm assuming is, it's Perry White's son. But I'm assuming he's named after Richard Donner, because there's no way in hell this is a character from the comics. So he meets Richard Donner, played by John Marsden, and they have a kid together. So he meets them, he meets this kid, and right away, I actually really liked how this movie opened. This first opening action sequence is, so the space shuttle is going off, it's boosting off from a Boeing 737. And Lois Lane is on the Boeing plane that the space shuttle is going to decouple from and launch out of. And of course, something goes wrong. Lex Luthor's whole thing causes an EMP. The space shuttle can't detach. So Superman has to fly in, detach the space shuttle, rescue the plane. He almost completely fucks it up, like he accidentally tears off one of the plane's wings. But in the end, he saves the plane, lets it down in a baseball field, and hey, Superman has returned. This is a classic Superman set piece, as I think. Like, Superman saving a plane with Lois Lane on board. Like, I know in the animated series, which they I wouldn't be surprised if they took a little influence from. He saved, right, it's Air Force One is the plane that goes down. And he saves Lois on Air Force One. So I think this is a good opening set piece. I think Brandon Roth as Superman is fine. He's trying to do his best, Christopher Reeves. I think he does okay. I do not love the costume. Specifically, I think the tights. I am all for Superman in tights. I think Superman looks the best in tights. But the way they did the tights in this movie, they're very short. Like, they're very, like, skinny tights. And they're more like, I don't want to say not a G-string, they're like booty shorts, I guess. They're very short. And then I don't like the color red they use. They use a very dark red for the shorts, the cape, the boots. I wish it, like the Donner suits, the Christopher Reeve suits, were a lot lighter colors. It was a very bright red. The new Superman has a very bright red color. This one's very dark. Not as dark as like a Zack Snyder. And I'd rather have the shorts than not have the shorts. But it's a lot darker than I still think it's a fine suit, but So, Clark still loves Lois Lane. Lois still loves, Superman. He goes and he spies on her. And of course, James Marsden, the boyfriend, is jealous. Because who wouldn't be jealous of Superman? Like, I get it. I don't like Lois Lane in this movie. She's just kind of... Margot Kidder did such like a good job, and I really don't feel like this captures that. Like, I do like her insistence that, like, hey, Chief, I did it. She won her first Pulitzer for writing a story about how the world doesn't need Superman anymore. I like that. I like that detail. I like the whole thing, how she doesn't want to write the Superman story and instead is, doing the whole thing on the Blackout, and the Chief makes her write the story anyways. She writes Superman Returns and wins another award or whatever. Like, that's all good. I like that the husband isn't a bad guy. He's not, technically they're not married, but I like that, yeah. It kind of reminds me of the stepdad in the Ant-Man movies. If you've seen the Ant-Man movies, the stepdad, he's like, yeah, he kind of seems like a jerk in the first one, but then you realize, no, he actually just cares, and the moment he realizes Scott's not a bad guy, they actually get along really well, and that continues in the second one, and I kind of like that here. Yeah, this Richard guy, not a bad guy, he cares about the kid, who, for all intents and purposes, he thinks is his own. Because I guess I should say, going into this, the other thing I knew about this movie... I knew that the kid was Superman's. That basically, after the events of Superman 2, Clark and Lois have sex that one time, and they got pregnant. But, of course, Lois doesn't remember, because, that was all memory kissed away. Do they bring that up in the movie? No, of course they don't. But, yeah, we have that moment. This kid's he's so weak, he's asthmatic. But in the end, so we're going through, Lex Luthor has this plan. He's going to make basically a new continent that he controls, because it's a Superman movie. It's all about land for Lex Luthor. That's what I realized watching this. In the Donner Supermans, Lex Luthor, his plan is to take control of land. And then as a bonus, he gets to kill Superman. Whereas in the modern Superman movies, it's the opposite. He gets to kill Superman, and as a bonus, he gets the land. That's something James Gunn nailed, is that he understood that, no, it's the opposite. He wants to kill Superman first, get the land second. So regardless, you get this whole thing, he's going to create this thing, he captures Lois Lane, he realizes the kid is Superman's kid, which I do like. But then after that, it's like, okay, he's realized the kid's Superman's kid. Clark is going to find Lois. He launches the crystal with the kryptonite. And I was like, okay, we're getting near the end here. We're close to done with this movie. I paused it to go get a drink or something. I still had a fucking hour left. Right when it feels like, they're setting up the climax and everything, there was still an hour left in this movie. Like, what the fuck? So after that, Superman, he has to save the people of Metropolis, because Lex Luthor's thing is destroying Metropolis. The city's literally being ripped in half, kind of. There's a giant crack forming. He does that. He goes, he saves Lois. The kid gets Superman powers and immediately fucking kills a guy by smashing a piano into him. Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't expect the guy to actually be dead, but no, Cal Penn comes in like a scene or two later and is like, oh no, he's dead. James Marsden comes in and saves Lois and the kid, but immediately the boat gets like cut in half. They almost drown, but Superman comes in and saves them. He goes to fight Lex Luthor. Because the whole island is made of kryptonite, Lex Luthor is, able to punch him, stabs him with a kryptonite knife. Lois goes back to save him. They do. Do they ever address the fact that, yes, the kid has Superman powers? Does Clark ever even find out that the kid has Superman powers? I don't think so. But so afterwards, Clark is like, oh, Lois saves him, and he's like, I have to go back. So what he ends up doing, which, to be honest, is not one of the craziest things we've seen in this movie. And these Superman movies. I think the time travel stuff and the memory erasing kiss are way worse. To be honest, I expected them to do one of those again. I would not have at all been surprised if, in order to save the day, Superman time traveled to before Lex Luthor shot his rocket and created the new continent. I would not have all been surprised if that happens. But instead, he picks up the continent and throws it off into space. Which, again, it's, this is a pre-crisis Superman. That's totally in the comics, Superman has moved planets. So that in no way surprises me. But he does that. Afterwards, he's in a coma, and you think, like, oh, he's dead. Lois and the kid go to see him. They think he's dead. But no, he's actually alive. He goes and he sees the kid, probably realizing that, yeah, that is his kid. But hey, surprisingly at the end of this movie, Clark and Lois don't get back together, and Lois stays with John Marsden. Which I was not expecting, but yeah, they do that. And yeah, that's kind of where the movie ends. Hey, Superman has returned. And yeah, that was a movie. I'll be honest, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I did. Listen, I have not listened to Kinda Funny talk about this one. I know they did their in-review yesterday. I haven't watched it yet. Hope maybe by next week. Because next week I do plan on rewatching Man of Steel, by the way. Just BT dubs. But, listening to them talk about this movie, I know Nick and Greg don't like this one. At least I think they said they didn't like it. So I was not expecting much to go into this one. Like, I knew it was going to be better than 2 and 3. Because 2 and 3 are fucking awful. I knew it was going to be better than that. And it is. If I had to put it in my rankings, it's, what? Yeah, right above 3 and 4, but below 2, Superman the movie, and Superman 2025. Yeah, it's basically right dab in the middle of the list. But I had some enjoyment. I think there were some good parts. It very much is dealing with, hey, what if Superman disappeared and then decided to come back? What would happen? Like, how would the world react? Like, definitely it feels like if I was making a Superman movie, this would not be what I would do. It'd be like if they made another Tobey Maguire movie, and it was like, yeah, since, Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire just, like, disappeared. It'd be really fucking weird. Like, I get it, but it'd also be really weird. And it'd be like if he disappeared, but he didn't hook up with MJ and have a kid. Which is what, like, if they make Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, I want it to take influence from the new Ultimate Universe. I want them to do something along those lines. Because I think that'd be a great story. But I don't know if they're going to do something like that. The fact that right when I thought, we're getting into end here. This movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes. It did not need to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. You could have... I know that's a problem with a lot of these older Superman movies. They're just way too fucking long. You could have cut like 45 minutes from this. But yes, as like a love letter to the Donner movies, I think it's okay. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I don't love it by any means. I expected to dislike it a lot more than I did. I really do feel like the first, like, hour and a half was actually pretty decent. I was having an okay time with it. I liked seeing Superman go around and save people. I liked some of the Lex Luthor stuff. Again, for a continuation of Christopher Reeves and Gene Hackman. I thought they were doing an okay job. But, yeah, I don't know why this movie... It's a weird movie to exist, but I had an okay time with it. I was expecting it to be way worse. Not as bad as 3 or 4. Again, 4 is fucking awful, and 3 is so fucking boring.